My brother agreed to babysit, so I could go on my first date in 5 years since losing my wife, then canceled an hour before, because he just didn't feel like it anymore. So I gave his wife the photos. I need to get this out somewhere because my hands are still shaking, and I honestly do not know if I did the right thing or if I just blew up the last family I have left. My name is Eric. I am 39 years old. My brother Corey is 34. My daughter Lily just turned 6 in March. My wife Shannon died 4.5 years ago. Ovarian cancer. She was 32. The whole thing from diagnosis to funeral was 11 months, which is a sentence I can type now without falling apart, but it took about 3 years to get there. That probably deserves some context, because the rest of this story does not make sense without it. When Shannon got sick, I was working as a structural engineer for a mid-size firm. Good salary, good benefits, predictable hours. That all went out the window. I burned through my PTO, then my FMLA, then started working remotely at odd hours with a laptop balanced on the arm of a hospital chair. My boss at the time, a guy named Dale, carried me through it in ways I will never be able to repay. After she passed, I took a leave of absence that turned into a resignation because I could not function, and I had a 14-month-old who needed me more than a drafting table did. I spent the next 2 years basically in survival mode. My parents helped. My mother-in-law, Gloria, helped. Corey helped some. I will give him that. He would come by on weekends sometimes, play with Lily in the yard, bring takeout. He was not useless. That matters for later because I am not painting him as some cartoon villain who never did a single kind thing. He did kind things. That is what made the rest of it worse. Around 3 years after Shannon died, I started to feel like a person again. Not whole, not healed, whatever that means, but functional in a way where I could hold a conversation at the grocery store without calculating how quickly I could leave. I went back to work part-time with a smaller firm. Got Lily into a preschool she loved. Built a routine. My mother-in-law, Gloria, brought up dating about a year ago. Not pushy, just a quiet comment while we were watching Lily chase her dog around the backyard. She said Shannon would not want me to be alone forever, and that she hoped I knew that. I told her I was not ready. She said okay and never mentioned it again, which is exactly the kind of person Gloria is. But she planted something, because a few months later, I matched with a woman named Jess on an app. Jess is 36, a pediatric occupational therapist, divorced, no kids. We texted for about 5 weeks before I even suggested meeting in person because I was so far out of my depth that I had to Google whether people still do dinner on a first date, or if that is too formal now. Apparently coffee is the move. Fine, coffee. I asked Jess to get coffee on a Saturday afternoon, 2 weeks from that day. 2 weeks because I needed time to arrange childcare, mentally prepare, probably talk myself out of it and back into it 4 or 5 times, and also buy a shirt that was not from 2017. Childcare. That is where Corey comes in. I do not have a huge support network. My parents live 3 hours away. Gloria would have said yes in a heartbeat, but she had a knee replacement scheduled that same week and was going to be at her daughter-in-law's house recovering. My 2 closest friends both had commitments that Saturday. I am not the kind of person who has 15 people on speed dial. I have maybe 4, and 3 of them were unavailable. So I called Corey. I explained the situation. I told him it was my first date in over 5 years. I told him I was nervous and that it would mean a lot to me if he could watch Lily for 3 hours on a Saturday afternoon. 3 hours. That is it. Corey said yes immediately. Did not hesitate. He said, and I remember this clearly, because I replayed it later about 1,000 times, he said, "Dude, absolutely. It is about time. I have got Lily. Do not even worry about it." I thanked him. I felt good. I felt like maybe this was going to be okay. Over the next 2 weeks, I mentioned the date to him twice more. Once in a group text with our parents where my mom said she was proud of me, and once on a phone call where I told him what time I would drop Lily off. Both times he confirmed. Both times, no hesitation. The Saturday came. I woke up early, which I never do on weekends. I ironed a shirt. I trimmed my beard. Lily asked me why I looked different, and I told her I was going to see a friend and that she was going to hang out with Uncle Corey. She was excited, and she loves Corey. She asked if he would let her paint his nails again. 1 hour before I was supposed to drop her off, Corey texted me. Not called, texted. "Hey man, I do not think I can do today. Just not really feeling it. Sorry." I stared at my phone for a long time. Then I called him. He picked up on the 4th ring, which meant he saw me calling, and waited. "Corey, what do you mean you're not feeling it?" "I just do not feel like watching a kid today, man. I am tired. Vanessa and I were out late last night, and I just want to chill." Vanessa is his wife. They do not have children. They have a condo downtown and 2 French bulldogs and go to brunch every weekend. I am not saying that to be bitter. I am saying it because tired meant something different to him than it did to me. "Corey, this is my first date in 5 years. You have known about this for 2 weeks. I know, but it is just coffee, right? You can reschedule. Just coffee." You can reschedule. I want to be very clear about something. I did not yell. I did not beg. I said, "Okay, Corey," and I hung up. Then I sat on my bed for about 10 minutes while Lily sang to herself in the next room, and I felt something I had not felt in a long time. Not sadness, not grief, just a very cold, very settled kind of anger. I texted Jess and told her I had a childcare emergency and asked if we could reschedule. She was gracious about it. She said no problem. Things happen. But I could feel it. That little crack where momentum dies. First impressions do not get second chances with scheduling conflicts. I spent the rest of that Saturday at home with Lily. We made pancakes. She painted my nails instead of Corey's, purple with silver glitter. I kept them on for 4 days. Now, the photos. I need to back up about 6 months. Last fall, my mother asked me to help her digitize old family photos. She had boxes of them in the attic, some going back to the 80s. I borrowed them, scanned them in batches on my home scanner, organized them into folders. It was a whole project. It took me weeks. While I was sorting through one of the later boxes, I found an envelope that was not labeled. Inside were about a dozen photos. Recent ones, not old film prints. They were printed on regular photo paper, the kind you get from a drugstore kiosk. They were pictures of Corey with a woman who was not Vanessa. Not ambiguous pictures, not, "Oh, maybe that is a friend," pictures. I am not going to describe them in detail because this is not that kind of post, but the context was very clear. They were at what looked like a hotel room, and the body language left absolutely no room for interpretation. Some were the kind of photos you take of each other when you think nobody else will ever see them. I did not know what to do with them. I am not close with Vanessa. She is perfectly nice. We do the holidays. She asks about Lily, but we are not confidants. And Corey is my brother. So I did what a lot of people would do, which is nothing. I put the photos back in the envelope, set it aside, and told myself it was not my business. My mother does not know the photos exist. She probably never went through that box carefully. They were mixed in with a stack of random prints from a birthday party. So, Saturday afternoon, Corey bailed on me 1 hour before my first date in 5 years because he just did not feel like it. I sat on my bed with purple glitter nails and that cold anger, and I thought about the envelope sitting in my desk drawer. I want to be honest here. I did not make a calculated, chess move decision. I was not sitting there thinking about leverage or revenge or teaching anyone a lesson. I was thinking about Shannon. I was thinking about how she would have moved heaven and earth to make sure I was okay, and how my own brother could not be bothered to sit on a couch with a 6-year-old for 3 hours because he was tired from brunch. And I thought about Vanessa, who is perfectly nice, who asks about Lily, who does not know. I drove to their condo that evening. Corey was not home. Vanessa answered the door and looked surprised to see me because I never just show up. I said I had something for her that I had been holding on to for a while and that I was sorry I had not given it to her sooner. I handed her the envelope. She opened it standing in the doorway. I watched her face change. I will not describe it because it is the kind of thing that does not belong in a story someone tells for sympathy. She looked up at me and said, "How long have you had these?" I said, "About 6 months. I am sorry." She said, "Does he know you found them?" I said, "No." She nodded. She did not cry, at least not in front of me. She said thank you, which is a strange thing to say in that moment, but people do strange things when the ground opens up. I said I was sorry again and I left. That was 4 days ago. I have not heard from Corey. I have not heard from Vanessa. I have not told my parents. My phone has been quiet in a way that feels like the silence before something very loud. I keep going back and forth. Part of me knows I did not give her those photos because it was the right thing to do. Part of me knows I was angry and I wanted Corey to face something because he would not face me. And part of me thinks that Vanessa deserved to know regardless of my reasons. And maybe it does not matter why I did it, as long as it was true. Lily is asleep down the hall. The glitter nail polish is mostly chipped off now. Jess texted me back yesterday and we rescheduled for next Saturday. I guess I am asking whether I crossed a line. Not with the photos themselves because I think Vanessa had a right to see them, but with the timing, with the reason. Did I do this for her? Or did I do this because my brother hurt me and I wanted to hurt him back? Honestly, I do not know, and the silence from both of them is making it worse. First update. Okay. A lot of people asked me to update, and a lot of people also told me I was a terrible person, so I figure I owe it to both camps. First, the most common question. No, I did not give Vanessa the photos purely out of spite, and no, I did not give them purely out of righteousness. I said that in my original post, and I meant it. The real answer is ugly and human, which is that it was both, happening at the same time, and I cannot separate them. If you need me to be either a hero or a villain for this to make sense, I cannot help you. I am just a guy who was angry and also happened to have something true in his desk drawer. Now, what happened? The silence broke on Tuesday, 3 days after I dropped off the envelope. Corey showed up at my house at about 8:30 in the morning. Lily was already at preschool, which was lucky, because he did not knock. He pounded on the door like he was trying to punch through it. I opened it and he was standing there with his jaw tight and his hands in fists at his sides. I have seen Corey angry before, but this was different. He looked like he had not slept. His eyes were red and his shirt was wrinkled, which for Corey is basically falling apart. "What the hell is wrong with you?" I stepped back and let him in because I was not going to do this on the porch. He walked into my living room and turned around. You went to my wife with those pictures." I did. "Those were private. Those were in Mom's attic. Those were not yours to take. They were in a box of family photos that Mom asked me to scan. I did not go looking for them. So you just decided to blow up my marriage." I almost said something I would have regretted. What I actually said was, "Corey, sit down." He did not sit down. He paced. He ran his hands through his hair and then pointed at me. "This is because of Saturday. This is because I could not babysit and you are punishing me. Is that what you think?" "That is what I know, Eric. You have been holding on to those pictures for 6 months. 6 months. And you give them to Vanessa the same day I cancel on you. You are going to tell me that is a coincidence?" "No," I said. "It is not a coincidence. Saturday is why I stopped protecting you. But the pictures are real, Corey. They are not something I made up because you ruined my afternoon." That landed. I could see it. His face did something complicated, and for about 2 seconds I thought he might actually confront what he had done. But then he reset. "You had no right." "Maybe not, but Vanessa did have a right to know. That is not your call." "Well, I made it." He stared at me for a long time. Then he said something that I think reveals more about Corey than anything else in this story. He said, "Shannon would be ashamed of you." I am not going to pretend that did not hit. It hit exactly where he aimed it. But here is the thing about grief that people who use it as a weapon do not understand. Once you have actually been through it, once you have held your wife's hand in a hospital bed and watched the monitors flatten out, some guy invoking her name to win an argument does not destroy you the way he expects it to. It just makes you very, very quiet. I said, "You need to leave." He said, "This is not over." I said, "The door is behind you." He left. Slammed the door hard enough that a picture frame fell off the wall in the hallway. It was a photo of Lily at the beach from last summer. The glass cracked, but the photo was fine. I swept up the glass before I picked Lily up from school. That evening my mother called. She had heard from Corey, obviously. His version. In his version, I had been harboring a grudge and weaponized private photographs to destroy his marriage because he could not babysit one time. My mother is 71 and she has the diplomatic instincts of a retired kindergarten teacher, which is what she is. She did not take sides on the phone. She said she was disappointed in both of us and that she wanted us to come to their house for a family dinner the following weekend to talk it out. I said, "Mom, I am not sure a family dinner is the right venue for this." She said, "Eric, you boys are all your father and I have. Please." I told her I would think about it. She accepted that, which means she is planning to ask me again in 2 days. Here is what I know so far about the fallout on Corey's end. This came from my father, who is less diplomatic than my mother and also a worse liar, so I trust his information. Vanessa told Corey to get out the same night I gave her the photos. He has been staying at a hotel since Sunday. The woman in the pictures is apparently someone Corey met through a recreational volleyball league he joined last year, which is a sentence I never expected to type. Vanessa has contacted a divorce attorney. Corey has been calling her repeatedly and she is not picking up. My father also told me something I did not know. He said Corey had borrowed $12,000 from my parents last year for what he said was a down payment reserve for a house he and Vanessa were looking at. My father is now not sure that money went where Corey said it went. He did not elaborate. I did not ask. As for Jess, we are still on for Saturday. I told her I had some family drama happening and she said, and I am quoting, because I saved the text, "Family drama means you have a family. That is not a red flag. That is just life." I have read that text maybe 8 times. Gloria called me yesterday, my mother-in-law. She said she heard through the grapevine that I was going on a date and she wanted me to know she was happy. I said thank you. She said Shannon picked well. Then she told me her knee was feeling better and asked if Lily wanted to come over next Wednesday for cookies. That is Gloria in 3 sentences. So that is where things stand. My brother thinks I ruined his marriage. I think his marriage was already ruined and I just moved up the timeline. My parents want a family dinner. Vanessa is talking to a lawyer. Corey is in a hotel. And I have a date on Saturday that I now need to find a babysitter for, because I am pretty sure my brother is unavailable. Second update. So a few people in the comments pointed out that I never really explained why Corey had those photos printed on drugstore paper in the first place, and how they ended up in a box in my parents' attic. Fair question. I did not know the answer when I posted the first update. I do now, and it is somehow both dumber and sadder than I expected. Short version. Corey printed them at a kiosk because he is apparently a 34-year-old man who does not understand cloud storage. He kept them in his car, in the center console, for reasons I cannot fathom. When my parents hosted Thanksgiving last year, he moved a bunch of junk from his car into the attic because Vanessa had been on him about the mess. The photos got mixed into a stack of other prints he had tossed in a shopping bag. He either forgot they were in there or thought nobody would go through old photos. My mother told me this. She got it out of him during a phone call that she described as unpleasant. She also told me that she cried after hanging up, not because of the affair, but because Corey lied to her face about the $12,000. That hit her harder. My mother is the kind of woman who can handle a lot of bad news as long as you are honest with her, and finding out her son looked her in the eyes and invented a house down payment broke something. Anyway, two big things happened this week: the family dinner and the date. The family dinner was last Sunday. I drove 3 hours to my parents' house. Corey was already there. Vanessa was not, obviously. My father answered the door and hugged me for a beat too long, which is how I knew this was going to be rough. My mother had made pot roast, which she always makes when she thinks food can hold a family together. It cannot, but the pot roast was good. We ate first. My parents asked about Lily. Corey did not say a word during the meal. He moved food around his plate and drank 2 beers in about 20 minutes, which my father noticed but did not comment on. After dinner, we moved to the living room. My mother started. She said she loved both of us and that she needed to understand what happened. Corey went first because he has always gone first. He said I had betrayed his trust and destroyed his marriage out of petty revenge over a babysitting cancellation. He said the photos were stolen from his personal belongings. He said I had no right to insert myself into his marriage. My father said, Corey, the photos were in our attic because I stored them there by accident. Accident or not, Eric found them while doing something your mother asked him to do. He did not break into your home. Corey did not like that. He turned to me and said, so you are just going to sit there and let Dad fight for you? I said, I am waiting for you to say something about what is actually in the photos. That shut the room down for about 10 seconds. My mother looked at the carpet. My father looked at Corey. Corey looked at me. That is between me and Vanessa. It was. Then you left your evidence in our mother's attic. My mother held up her hand. She said, Eric, why did you hold on to the photos for 6 months? And I was honest. I said, because I did not want to deal with it. Because Corey is my brother, and I did not want to be the one to do that to him. I told myself it was not my business. What changed? He bailed on babysitting Lily so I could go on my first date since Shannon died. 1 hour before, by text, because he was tired from going out the night before. My mother looked at Corey. Is that true? Corey said. It was one time. My father said, it was his first time, Corey. That was the moment I realized my father understood this differently than my mother did. My mother was trying to mediate. My father was trying not to say something he would mean forever. Corey must have felt it too because he shifted. He got quieter. He said, I messed up. I know I messed up, but what Eric did was worse. I said, you cheated on your wife and I told her. That is the entire story. Everything else is wrapping paper. Corey stood up and said he was done. He said he was not going to sit here and be ganged up on. My mother asked him to please stay. He walked out. I heard his car start in the driveway. My mother cried. My father put his hand on her shoulder and said, he will cool down. Then he looked at me and said, you did a hard thing for the right reason at the wrong time, and I am not going to tell you which part matters more because I do not know. That is the most honest thing anyone has said to me through this whole mess. I stayed the night at my parents' house. My mother made pancakes in the morning and did not mention any of it. My father walked me to my car and told me quietly that the $12,000 Corey borrowed was supposed to be part of their retirement cushion. He said he was not going to ask for it back right now, but he needed me to know. I drove home thinking about that number. $12,000 that my parents scraped together and handed to their younger son because he said he was building a future, and he spent it on whatever he spent it on. Okay, the date. It happened. Last Saturday. Gloria watched Lily, bad knee and all, because when I told her the situation, she said, sweetheart, I chased a toddler around with a torn rotator cuff in 2004. A knee replacement is nothing. I picked up Jess at her apartment. We went to a coffee shop that a coworker recommended. It is one of those places with exposed brick and too many plants, but the coffee was strong and the chairs were actually comfortable, which matters more than ambiance when you are a 39-year-old man who has not been on a date since the Obama administration. Jess is funny. Not performatively funny, not trying to entertain me, just genuinely quick in a way that caught me off guard. She asked me about Lily, and I showed her a picture, and she said, she has your serious face, which is apparently something I did not know I had. She talked about her work with kids and why she got into it. She asked about Shannon, and I told her the short version, and she listened without doing the sympathy tilt that people do when they do not know what to say. I was there for 2 hours. It felt like 45 minutes. When I drove home, I was smiling in the car by myself like an idiot, and I thought, This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like to be a person again. Then I checked my phone and had 6 missed calls from Corey and a text that said, Vanessa is filing. Are you happy now? I did not respond. I went inside, thanked Gloria, and put Lily to bed. She told me she made Gloria a card that said best grandma in the world, even though Gloria is technically not her grandmother. I told her that was exactly right. Here's where things currently stand. Vanessa has formally filed for divorce. I heard through my father that she found more evidence on Corey's phone after I gave her the initial photos, so the affair was apparently more extensive than what I knew about. The volleyball league woman was not the only one. Corey has not spoken to me since the family dinner. He has been texting my mother daily, and from what she has told me, the texts alternate between apologizing and blaming me. My mother says she does not know how to help him. My father says Corey does not want help. He wants someone to agree with him. Vanessa reached out to me directly for the first time yesterday. She sent me a short text that said, I know this was not easy for you. Thank you for being honest with me when he would not. I told her I was sorry for the way I handled the timing. She said, the timing does not change the truth. Jess and I have a second date planned for next Friday. She suggested dinner this time. I said yes before I could overthink it, and Lily told me this morning that she misses Uncle Corey and asked when he is coming over. I said I did not know. She said, is he sad? And I said, I think so, yeah. She said, you should paint his nails. That always makes me feel better. I am going to hold on to that one for a while. Third update. Before I get into it, I want to address something that came up a lot. A bunch of people said I should feel guilty about Lily losing her relationship with her uncle. I hear you. I do think about it. But I also think about what kind of man I am showing her. And I decided a long time ago that I would rather she grow up watching me do hard, ugly, honest things than easy, comfortable, dishonest ones. Shannon would have agreed with that. I know that is a heavy thing to put on a 6-year-old who just wants her nails painted, but she does not have to carry it yet. I do. Okay. A lot happened. The $12,000 came back around and not the way anyone expected. My father called me last Thursday and told me he confronted Corey about the money. He asked Corey directly whether it went toward a house down payment like Corey said. Corey told him yes, it was in a savings account earmarked for a down payment, and he would pay it back. My father asked for the name of the bank. Corey gave him one. My father, who is 73 and does not know how to use most apps but has been balancing a checkbook since 1974, called the bank. There was no account in Corey's name. Never had been. When my father told me this, his voice was flat in a way I have only heard once before, which was the day Shannon's doctors told us there was nothing left to try. That kind of flat. He said, oh, your mother does not know yet. I need to figure out how to tell her. I said, Dad, I am sorry. He said, you did not do this, Eric. He is right. But it does not feel that way when your family is coming apart and you are the one who pulled the first thread. Meanwhile, Corey's divorce is moving. Vanessa's attorney apparently sent over discovery requests, and Corey is scrambling because, from what I can piece together through my father, his finances are not what anyone thought they were. The condo he and Vanessa have is underwater on the mortgage. He has credit card debt that Vanessa did not know about. The picture that is forming is one of a man who was living a lifestyle he could not afford while borrowing money from his retired parents and lying about where it went. I want to say I saw this coming. I did not. Corey always seemed like he had it together. Nice condo, nice car, weekend brunches, the volleyball league, the French bulldogs. It looked like a life. Apparently it was a set. Vanessa called me. That was unexpected. Not a text this time. An actual phone call last Saturday afternoon while Lily was napping. She was calm. Vanessa has always been calm, which is probably why Corey married her, because she is the kind of person who absorbs chaos without reflecting it back. She asked me how I was doing. I said I was all right. She said she wanted to tell me something before I heard it from Corey. She said Corey had contacted a mutual friend of theirs, a guy named Derek, and told Derek that I had fabricated the photos using AI or some kind of editing software. That I was a bitter, grief-stricken widower who was trying to sabotage Corey's life because I could not handle seeing him happy. Vanessa said she shut that down immediately. She told Derek she had verified the photos independently because after I gave her the envelope, she went through Corey's phone while he was sleeping and found messages, more photos, hotel receipts, and a second phone number registered through an app. The volleyball league woman's name is Megan. There was also someone named Katrina, and possibly a third person whose messages were deleted but whose contact was saved under a man's name, which Vanessa suspects was an alias. She said, I am telling you this because Corey is going to try to make you the villain. He already is, and I want you to know that I have the evidence, and I have told my attorney, and I have told Derek, and I have told my sister. Your name is not the one that is going to be damaged by this. I thanked her. She said, Eric, you did not ruin my marriage. He ruined my marriage. You just told me about it on a day when you were angry enough to stop covering for him. I would rather know on a bad day than never know at all. Then she asked if Lily was doing okay. I said she was. Vanessa said, "Tell her Aunt Vanessa says hi and that I will send her a birthday card even if things are different now." That cracked something in my chest that I was not prepared for. Corey has gone dark. He is not returning my parents' calls, which has my mother in a constant state of low-grade panic. My father told her about the $12,000. She took it hard. She called me and asked if I thought Corey was in some kind of trouble, like gambling or something. I said I did not know. She asked me to try calling him. I said I would, but honestly, I do not know what I would say. I did try. Once. It went straight to voicemail. I left a message that said, "Corey, this is Eric. I am not calling to fight. Mom and Dad are worried. Call somebody." He did not call back. Now the thing I was not planning to share, but I think matters for the full picture. Last Wednesday, I had dinner with Jess, our third date. This one was at a Thai restaurant near her neighborhood. We talked for 3 hours. At one point she asked me what was going on with my family situation, and I gave her a carefully edited version. She listened. Then she said something that stuck with me. She said, "You are going to spend the rest of your life wondering if you did it for the right reason. That is the tax you pay for doing something that needed to be done by someone who had a personal stake in it. The answer is probably that your motives were mixed, and that is normal. And the person who matters most, Vanessa, is grateful. Let that be enough. I am not used to someone cutting through things that cleanly." Shannon did that too, in a different way. Shannon would have made a joke first and then said the serious thing. Jess just says the serious thing. Both work. I told Jess I really liked her. She said, "Oh, I know. You drove 40 minutes to eat Thai food." She has a point. The restaurant is not close to my house. Here is where things stand. Vanessa's divorce is proceeding. Corey is not contesting it. At least not yet, but he also is not cooperating with discovery, which his attorney has apparently told him is a bad strategy. My father says Corey has moved from the hotel to a friend's apartment. He is still working, as far as anyone knows. My mother is talking about driving down to see him in person. My father told her to wait. I am no longer willing to call Corey again. I left the door open. He can walk through it, or he can let it close. That is his choice now. And Lily lost her first tooth yesterday. Top front one. She put it under her pillow and this morning found a $5 bill and a note from the tooth fairy that said, "Beautiful tooth. 5 stars." She asked me if the tooth fairy has a review system. I said apparently so. Jess is coming to dinner at my house this Friday. She is going to meet Lily for the first time. I am nervous about it in a way that feels different from the other kinds of nervous I have had lately. This one is the good kind. Something is going to land with Corey soon. I can feel it. The silence has a weight to it that I recognize from other seasons of my life when something big was coming and everyone was pretending it was not. I just hope that when it does, my mother is ready. I do not think my father will be surprised. 4th update. All right, last one. A lot of people have followed this from the beginning, and I figured you deserved the ending, such as it is. It has been about 3 months since my last update. I am writing this on a Sunday night while Lily sleeps and the house is quiet, and I finally feel like the story is over enough to tell the rest of it. Corey. My father told me most of this in pieces over the last few weeks because Corey and I have not spoken since the voicemail I left him, which he never returned. The divorce went through. Vanessa got the condo, which she is selling because she does not want to live there. Corey got the car and the credit card debt, which from what my father gathered is somewhere around $31,000. The $12,000 he borrowed from my parents is gone. He told my father it went toward lifestyle expenses, which is a phrase that apparently covers a lot of ground. My father did not push for specifics. I think he decided he would rather not know. Corey moved to a city about 4 hours away. He got a job at a different firm, same field, lower title. He has an apartment. He has one of the French bulldogs. Vanessa kept the other one. My mother talks to him every couple of weeks. She says he sounds tired but stable. He has not mentioned me in any of their calls, and she does not bring me up. He did not come to Thanksgiving. He did not come to Christmas. Lily asked about him both times, and I said Uncle Corey was busy with his new job. She accepted that the way kids accept things, which is completely on the surface and probably not at all underneath. My father told me last month that Corey sent my parents a check for $2,000 with a note that said, "First installment." My mother cried when she opened it. My father said he would believe in installments when the second one arrived. As of today, it has not. Vanessa moved to a different state to be closer to her sister. She sent Lily a birthday card with a $20 bill inside and a note that said, "For the nail polish fund." Lily thought that was the funniest thing anyone had ever said. Megan, the volleyball league woman, apparently ended things with Corey sometime during the divorce proceedings. I do not know the details, and I did not ask. I heard it third hand from my father, who heard it from my mother, who heard it from Corey during one of their bi-weekly calls. The telephone game of family dysfunction is remarkably efficient. As for me, Jess and I have been together for just over 4 months now. She met Lily on that Friday night dinner I mentioned in my last post. Jess brought homemade mac and cheese because she asked me ahead of time what Lily's favorite food was. And when Lily saw it, she said, "Dad, your friend knows things." Jess earned permanent status in about 9 seconds. We are taking it slow. Jess is not trying to be anything she is not, and I am not trying to rush anything to fill a space that does not need to be filled the way I thought it did. She comes over for dinner twice a week. She and Lily built a birdhouse together last Saturday that looks like it was designed by a very enthusiastic architect with no formal training. It is in the backyard. No birds have moved in yet, but Lily checks every morning. I went back to work full-time in January. Same firm, same team, a small raise. Dale, my old boss from the first firm, emailed me out of the blue last week to say he heard I was doing well and that Shannon would be proud. I sat at my desk for a while after reading that one. I am not angry anymore. I want to be clear about that because I think people expected this to end with me feeling vindicated or triumphant. I do not. I feel like I did a thing that was right and also selfish, necessary and also cruel, and I will probably never fully untangle those threads. I have made peace with that, which is different from understanding it. My mother asked me last week if I thought Corey and I would ever talk again. I said I did not know. She said, "He is still your brother." I said, "I know, Mom. That is why I told him to call somebody." He chose not to call me. She did not have a response to that, which I think means she is starting to see it the way it actually is instead of the way she wants it to be. This is my last post about this. Not because the story is unfinished, but because it is not a story anymore. It is just my life, and my life is pretty quiet these days, and I have learned that quiet is not the same thing as empty. Lily painted my nails again last night. This time she went with blue and gold because she said those are power colors. I asked her where she learned that. She said Gloria told her. Gloria Wood.